It's crunch time at work and you need to bring wings to your workday. Visit redbull.com/gettingitdone and answer a couple questions about your work style to get a Spotify customized playlist tuned to your productivity. Plus, score a can of Red Bull on us while you go from to-do to done. And remember, Red Bull gives you wings. Supplies are limited. Terms apply. Visit the website for more information.
Springfest is happening now at Lowe's. Keep the spotlight on your yard with Stay Green Premium 2 cubic foot mulch, 5 bags for $10. Plus, when you want more help indoors, get up to 40% off select major appliances that help you supercharge your chores. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 4/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
For the News and Observer, I'm Dawn Vaughan, Capitol Bureau Chief and host of Under the Dome. Today, I'm joined by my colleague Danielle Battaglia, who is our Washington, D.C. correspondent. While it's been pretty quiet in state politics lately, at least in Raleigh, D.C. is decidedly not. Let's dive into how what's been happening in Washington is impacting politics nationally, North Carolina, life, all of it. So, Danielle, you had said that you told me before, as we were getting ready for this, that the Congress is on a deadline and they're doing a lot of stuff not to meet it, it looks like. So where are we as we're starting this week of September 8th? We're recording it on Monday. People will listen on Tuesday.
I like to tell Jeff Tiberi, this is like my constant refrain when I go on his show as well, is we have 12 appropriation bills we have to pass. And so this, it sounds like I talk about this all the time, which is true, but it's a fall issue. And so by September 30th, they have to pass these 12 appropriation bills. These appropriation bills basically make up the federal government's budget, and they come from the 12 main committees of the House. And each one is supposed to put forward how they're going to fund the government. If they don't do this by September 30th, the government shuts down on October 1st. So very serious situation. Now, people don't take it seriously because you often see Congress pass a continuing resolution to bump this further out. Right now, it sounds like what Congress wants to do is bump this to November or December for a future deadline. But they actually have to, do something to make that happen and also get Trump's blessing to do that. And so there's been a lot of action and inaction, mostly inaction on the appropriation bills, action everywhere else. And as of, the day you guys are listening to this, if you're listening Tuesday, I believe we have 9 legislative days to get this done because they're taking a week off for Rosh Hashanah. So I think I said that wrong. There's very little time to, figure out a budget.
Why do they always do this on deadline? Is that just, that's just how politics is? Or is it about, I don't know, creating these pressures, with each other? What do you think?
I would love to know the answer to this. I mean, I've been covering Congress for 4 years now, I believe. And this is their game. And I don't know why it ends up this way. They know this deadline's approaching. They know that they have this thing to do. What is interesting is they take a month off in August, which is a federal law that they have to take a month off in August. But they come straight into this, you have a deadline to match on this appropriations bill or 12 appropriations bill. And they're being bombarded right now with other things to do. So
Is it too soon to say with these bills, to drill down into direct North Carolina impacts, or is it more kind of looking at these national cuts and then eventually when we see the amounts, how it'll affect our state?
I mean, we don't even have the bills yet. That's how not together they are. I can't tell you what's going to be in these bills to even drill down. I think there's 2 or 3 that have been pushed forward before the summer recess. But yeah, we don't have anything to share. I could not drill down if I wanted to.
I guess who are our probably most vocal representative in Washington for North Carolina is Senator Thom Tillis for a variety of reasons. What is he doing about it? What is everyone else in the delegation doing about it? Are any of them even talking yet about what they're going to what they're going to push for, what they see the needs are.
No, I mean, Senator Tillis, I mean, this goes to the House first, and there's a caveat to that, but it goes to the House first. So Senator Tillis is way out of that discussion right now. The Senate is very busy with all of Trump's nominations. We're still trying to get those through the Senate, and so they're very tied up with that. On the House side, like, this all is on the committee level still. So each individual committee has to deal with their different aspects of these bills. And I think like it's just a thing in Washington that you expect the continuing resolution. Like it's so standard practice that everyone sees that as the next move. So I don't think anyone's really thinking line items right now. They're thinking, let's push this off for like 3 more months.
The reason, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the federal fiscal year starts October 1st. Is that the reason for the timeline?
That sounds right.
And then, of course, here in state government in North Carolina, it started July 1st. And unlike the federal government, there is no shutdown here, which means there's, I don't even know if you'd call it a deadline. We are at, like I said, we're recording this September 8th. Lawmakers are set to return September 22nd to Raleigh, which is also the first day of fall. And it's also months into the fiscal year. And we'll see what Senate Leader Phil Berger and House Speaker Dustin Hall, both Republicans, decide if they're going to come to any sort of agreement on taxes or pass another mini budget or do nothing. Another thing that came up earlier this summer is the uncertainty of the federal government, right? And what they're going to do. So it seems like when at the state government level here in a couple of weeks, the feds aren't going to have any new information for them, really. Is that right?
I feel like they're operating off the budget we just passed in July, if I remember this right. And this gets so complicated because there are so many different, like there was the rescission bill, the recession bill, the different, like there's so many different appropriation things circulating. And since we push it around so much, that's why I really can't even tell you when the new budget is, because Congress plays fast and loose with it. But I do think the numbers are available to them for this coming year. The one we're dealing with will be 2026, I believe.
I know you've reported on this. Like, what are the things that we know, from the Big Beautiful Bill Act are going to affect North Carolina in the years ahead? It seems like primarily Medicaid and SNAP. Are there other things I'm missing?
Yeah, I mean, Medicaid and SNAP are the really big things that I think we're all watching. Like those social safety net programs are going to have a huge impact on North Carolina. I'm really watching Medicaid very closely, mostly because of Senator Tillis. And this goes back to what we were talking about before we got on here, is Senator Tillis made a big push with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in a hearing this past week saying, I need somebody to embarrass me and prove me wrong about what I think is going to happen with Medicaid in North Carolina. He's talked to Dr. Oz about it. Dr. Oz, from what I can tell in the reporting, his numbers were correct to Tillis. And so like Tillis is very concerned about 664,000 North Carolinians being kicked off Medicaid. And he is looking for anyone who can disprove that. He went to RFK last week and said, please embarrass me. Like, please make this not be the case. And he was saying, like, if it is the case, North Carolinians have to prepare. Like, we need North Carolina lawmakers to figure out how they're going to, Band-Aid this. Band-Aid is not the right word. Triage.
Okay, there's a lot of back and forth with RFK, and I think just mostly Democrats about about COVID, or also Republicans too.
Also Republicans, yeah.
Okay. But Tillis's tactic was a little bit different, or maybe he didn't raise his voice. Tell us about that.
Well, like if you've watched my reporting in recent months, Tillis has come out with like yelling and with these like crazy bulging eyes. I've said this to his people, they know, and they know, like he's had these crazy bulging eyes. This was a meeting that was quite contentious. I was working on another story during the meeting, and it was very distracting because like they were just yelling at each other, and there was like this whole back and forth and not being respectful towards one another. And it was both sides. It was Republicans, Democrats, and it was RFK also not being respectful members of Congress and just really pushing on. They feel kind of duped into his vaccine protocols, and like he had promised that he would not be anti-vaccine, but now they feel like he is taking away the power for people to even get vaccines. We're seeing that with the COVID-19 vaccine. And so there's been a little bit of tension between them on that. And so Senator Tillis, not happy. He feels duped too. He basically said that to him, but like very calm. Like, I'm not sure I liked that Tillis either. Like if he was yelling at me that calmly, like it was like, I'm going to talk to you gently, Danielle, and tell you what I think you did wrong, but I'm not going to yell at you nor let you answer questions of this meeting. You can get back to me later with the answers. It was like different side of Tillis.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with DC correspondent Danielle Battaglia about what's going on with Congress, both in DC and campaigns, and then our picks for our headliner of the week. We'll be right back.
Score more with the college-branded Venmo debit card and earn up to 5% cash back with Venmo Stash. Got paid back? With the Venmo debit card, you can instantly access your balance and spend on what you want, like game day snacks, gear, tickets, and more. The more you do, the more cash back you can earn. Plus, there's no monthly fee or minimum balance. Sign up now at Venmo.com/collegecard. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. Select schools available. Venmo Stash terms and exclusions apply at venmo.me/stash terms. Max $100 cash back per month.
So good, so good, so good.
New spring arrivals are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Get ready to save big with up to 60% off Rag & Bone, Marc Jacobs, Free People, and more.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
Because there's always something new.
Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
You're listening to Under the Dome. I'm Capitol Bureau Chief Dawn Vaughan, here with DC correspondent Danielle Battaglia. The first half, we talked a lot about Congress and what they're not doing or doing to avoid, these appropriations bills coming up. One thing is the Epstein files, which has been, I feel like, national news for several years in different ways. What's going on now, and how is Congress part of that, Danielle?
So Congress has been flirting with releasing the files, and like it's been like a little bit of a ruse, if you want to call it that, where like they'll put out some of the files, but it's things that have already been in the atmosphere. And so the Epstein conspiracy theories get very mad because they know this case like the back of their hand, like every piece of it they've got down. And so they want like the actual records that they don't know about. So a congressman put forward what's called a discharge petition, which essentially allows him to go around the speaker, so Speaker Mike Johnson, and say, I'm bringing this to the floor despite the objections of the speaker, or not on the time frame of the speaker, whatever it is. And he's got to get 218 signatures to do this. He has 215 as of 8 a.m. this morning. For North Carolina, it's the 4 Democrats have all signed off on this. None of the Republicans have, but he has Republicans that are signing this document. Republicans have been clear that like they also want this released. Tom Tillis was one of them. He has said that, this is either a nothing burger and they should release it, or we're hiding something and we should release it. And so either way, it needs to be released to kind of calm down this narrative, because it's going to keep going with or without the release, and so put it out to the public. And so we're now waiting to see if this discharge petition goes forward. I believe once he gets 218 signatures, there's 48 hours to get it to the floor for a vote, and that would actually force Republicans to say where they stand on this issue of whether to release it or not. So it could be really interesting.
And are Republicans really just taking their signals from Trump as far as what they're doing or not doing?
I think it depends on the Republican. I'm like, you don't want to cross swords, right, with the president. It's not in your best interest coming up on the 2026 election. But also, this was something that Trump campaigned on and other Republicans campaigned on, was that they felt like there was some big secret in these Epstein files. And now it's been, they said there's nothing there, there's nothing to release. And that has really made some of the MAGA base really furious with Republicans. that they went from like helping the conspiracy theory to basically shuttering it. And so, half of them, I shouldn't say half, but there's a section of them that want it released, and some of them are taking their cues from the president and waiting to see what they should do. So once it gets to a floor vote, I think it'll be really interesting to see where their allegiance lies.
Well, speaking of Republicans' allegiance and Trump, I'll segue that into our next topic, which is the congressional race in Eastern North Carolina, the incumbent Democrat Don Davis. He's got, we'll see who it turns out in the general, but Bobby Hanig, the state senator known not just for his flashy blazers anymore, because of voting against the Republican state Senate budget, and then Shrimpgate impassioned speeches. He looks like he's, won over some constituents, but of course it's a large district. And he's not the first Republican to get in. There's already been for a while. So who is it, and where do things stand now? How does this change the race?
Yeah, so Rocky Mount Mayor Sandy Roberson's already in the race. Talking to both of them was so interesting to me. Like Bobby Hanig, fascinating man, surfer, used to work on the railroads, which I lived in Greensboro and watched those railroads come in their little like cars and camp out for weeks. It was so fun to watch them, and I always wondered what that lifestyle was like. And then, Sandy Robertson, neither of them wanted to be in politics. Like neither of them thought that was their future, but they like both ended up wanting to help their constituents and wanting to help people. And so they got into politics to help people, and that's kind of what they're both still doing. I want them to be friends. This is my new goal, is for the two of them to become buddies, because they have a lot in common just from talking to them. So I want a friendship out of this, not enemies. We'll see if that happens.
It seems like this primary is really going to be about local issues, do you think? I mean, just reading your coverage and your interview with, Roberson, about, what he's seen for like his vision of his, where he's been in local government. And then of course, Hanig has, state issues, and of course, all politics is local, that factor. Do you see that more of it? Or do you think it's, I don't know, both of them vying for a Trump endorsement?
Well, I bet both of them want a Trump endorsement. I do think it will be interesting to see if they get that Trump endorsement, because both of them have taken stances that I think may make Trump look the other way. Bobby Hanig went out for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for president. Now he claims that he was asked at a time that he didn't believe the president was running, and that he was always supportive of the president. Sandy Roberson has also said some things about the president that weren't flattering, but he said, bad choice of words. He also supports the president, voted for him all 3 times. I think North Carolina's 1st congressional district is so interesting. It is 22 counties. You have, Bobby Hanig's area, which is like the surfing, ocean, shrimp scene. I'm sure shrimp scene is a thing. And then you have like, the more farm areas. It's not a wealthy area, but just the vast majority of like the people that live there, the like differences in economy throughout. I find it so fascinating, this district. And I think that like definitely kitchen table issues are going to be a factor in this. I think they see that as a factor in this, but like Trump is going to loom so large in the 2026 election for so many different reasons. We saw the job report this weekend. It wasn't great. The economy is not doing as well as Republicans want us to believe. People are really hurting when they go to the grocery store. And so I think like it's going to be a referendum on the Republican Party, but I don't know that necessarily that it's going to be punishing to the president, because North Carolina is very favorable to Trump. So I'm very fascinated to see where this race goes.
Okay. Well, there'll be lots more to come on that. Let's wrap up with our picks for headliner of the week. Danielle, I'm going to start with you. Some serious news coming out of Charlotte this past week.
Yeah. So on August 22nd, Irina Zarutska was killed riding on the light rail in Charlotte. She was stabbed in the neck 3 times, and video this weekend was released of her killing, and it was very gruesome. I believe the Charlotte Observer has taken the stance to not release the video because of the level of gruesome, which tells you like this is not your standard, video, because that's a pretty intense take to not release it. And so this is taking on national attention at this point. The president was asked about it on Sunday. He had not heard about it, but called it horrible. And I believe while we're recording this, he has spoken about it again. I haven't heard what he had to say, but definitely calls for, protection on the transportation in North Carolina, and also, trying to stop crime there. So I think it's something to watch. She also notable, she had left Kiev to get away from the Russia war with Ukraine and wanted a better, safer life. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way for her.
It's just terrible. People can read. We have, of course, extensive coverage in our sister paper, the Charlotte Observer, and Danielle and I are both working on more stories about this because, it's a big national issue and state, not just Charlotte. I'll move on to quickly my headliner on an entirely different note to end on a lighter note. My headliner is college football season, which has gotten a lot of attention and at UNC anyway. Of course, the listeners probably know on Virginia Tech Hokie, and hasn't been a great season so far for us, but less wins and losses and the drama around coaching. I really just like the overall vibe of college football game day and the excitement and the fall and everything else. So that's my headliner. And
go Bears!
That's right. Gotta root for everybody's team. So, all right, we are out of time. For the News and Observer, I'm Dawn Vaughan with Danielle Battaglia, producer Laura Brache. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
For more from our politics team, subscribe to the News and Observer at newsobserver.com/subscribe. Sign up for our political newsletter, also called Under the Dome, at newsobserver.com/newsletters. Thanks for listening.